What's your reaction to this tweet?
My reaction to it is that I completely, I'm not Asian American, so it's for them. Obviously, their thoughts and feelings matter significantly more than mine. Let me preface my comment by saying that. But I completely accept his explanation. I think one of the things that we have to recognize is the world that we live in. It's incredibly important to be compassionate and forgiving to people who may not know. If you definitively and explicitly express that you did not know that it was an offensive term to Asian Americans, well, now that you do, what's your reaction to it? And if the reaction to it is that, I'm going to delete that from my vocabulary, it will not happen again, et cetera, I think that we can accept Carlton Davis on his word. I thought that what he expressed was very contrite. I thought it was very sincere. And the most important point that I picked up from it is that he expressed it in a way where he was saying, I honestly did not know. And it came across as incredibly believable. And if you didn't know, you didn't know. A lot of times when we absorb something that's insulting, your level of knowledge does matter. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that can say that they didn't know the N-word was offensive to black people when it comes from people who are not black. I don't think that there's certain words that are used, insulting words or derogatory words that are used to describe Jewish folks. I don't think we can get away with saying that we didn't know that was offensive. With the gay community, the F word, I think we understand that that's offensive. We get that. But there are instances where there are words that come about and you honestly don't know or didn't know that it was offensive. And if you express that you didn't know, I think we have to take that into consideration before we're deciding how somebody should be treated or felt about based on what they explained. I felt his explanation was very real, very sincere. And I think that when he said he didn't know, he obviously came across to me like he meant that. And I'm good with it. Again, I'm not Asian American, so it'll be interesting to hear what they say. But if you're asking me, I thought the fact that he didn't know was a big deal.
Yeah, I would say I appreciate what you're saying. Since you're not Asian American, you don't want to speak for Asian Americans. Of course, sure. Even if you were, you wouldn't be speaking for all Asian Americans.
Right.
Because groups are not monoliths. They think differently within groups. Yeah. And if you want to group people together from a certain part of the world based on their gender identity, whatever it is, I feel comfortable saying, hate crimes against Asian Americans are bad. People should stop them if they see them. And there should certainly be a culture that strongly sanctions against that. That's different, than what Carlton Davis did, which is I will take him at his word. By the way, just as I took Myers Leonard at his word, Stephen A., about when he used the anti-Jewish slur, and which was different to me than Deshaun Jackson, who quoted stuff and from Hitler and then highlighted like the worst, most anti-Semitic parts of it. Doesn't mean you cancel Deshaun Jackson. If the dude's heart is in the right place and there's an outreach and he educates himself and sees what, no problem. It's not that there's no problem. It's that you move on, and he should go on and have a productive life and not be, canceled, right? It would be a lack of contrition that would say, that's not good enough. In this case, I believe Carlton Davis. I take him at his word. He didn't know it was an anti-Asian slur. I would also say that more important than that is his heart in the right place? It seems to be, from what I can gather. But again, the reason it's an important topic to discuss, even on this show, is the rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans, which is an absolute disgrace right now throughout our country. And it's happening all over. And don't forget, we are a country who during the Second World War had internment camps for Japanese Americans. More easily, it's always been easier to identify people based on racial differences. But they were American citizens. And because they were more easily identifiable and there was obviously bias against and racism at work, they were put in internment camps in this country within the last 100 years. So I think we should all be especially sensitive to this issue, or any issue where one group is being it's certainly singled out with language, but also during a time in which they're targeted for, with violence. I think it's important that people of goodwill come together and say that's not okay. And if Carlton Davis is one of those people who says, no, it's not okay, then that's the right thing to do.
Well, he was one of those people who said it wasn't okay. After he was educated about the fact that at age 24 he didn't know that it was offensive to Asian Americans. So that's what I'm saying. We have to take into consideration. The only other point that I'd like to make is that, you're right. We're not one monolithic group. That it doesn't matter who you are. You have your own different thoughts and all of that other stuff. But I will venture to say that I don't know any black people. I'm 53 years old. I don't know any black people that think it's okay for somebody outside of our community to utter the N-word. In that regard, I do think we're very monolithic.
Yeah. And I would also say that groups. Your point's well taken. If it's that as a member of the group, you will be sensitive to nuances and that out the people from not inside that group won't be as sensitive to or won't have the same kind of nuanced understanding. I think that is legitimate. In this case, I agree. Carlton Davis says he didn't know it. I'm willing to take him at his word. He didn't know it. And furthermore, he feels bad about it and is going to correct it. That's the most important thing.
No question. There's a simple golden rule we all learned as kids. Treat people the way we want to be treated, so we can all do that. And if we unintentionally offend somebody, which I'm sure we will all do as terms change and all those things continue to evolve, we own up to it and apologize like he did. We will leave it there, fellas. When we come back, there are a wealth of quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. It's right around.
Cut in and out of the basket. The reality is that you find yourself in situations where you've got to be very, very particular and very specific about who's defending Timmy because he's so efficient. I mean, the brother's got moves around the basket. He draws fouls, he finishes, he's got a nice touch. I mean, he can do a lot of things. And if you're Baylor and you don't have an answer for Timmy, look at his numbers from the other night, 11 of 15. 11 of 15 from the field, 11 of 14 from inside. He only attempted 1 3-pointer. He's incredibly efficient. You can have guard play. You can get it from Suggs or anybody. Nebhard, let's not forget him as your point guard. Great decision maker, at least Saturday night. I've been very impressed with what I've seen from him. But in the end, it's going to come down, if you can't contain Timmy, you got no shot. You got no shot if you can't contain him. If that brother takes you to school in the low post, if you're Baylor, lights out. It's over. It's a wrap. You've got to find a way to neutralize him and make Suggs and Nebhard and those boys. And Ayayi, let's not forget him. You've got to make them beat you, particularly from the perimeter. You can't do that if you can't contain Timmy. So I say Timmy's the key to me.
Stephen A., my man Stephen A., I'm happy you finally have come around to this, because a week ago, I mentioned Timmy and how good he was, and you said, Timmy, he's no Kevin McHale, he's no this guy, he's no that guy. Let's go to the old video. Here's the deal. You're right, Stephen A., you finally came over to my side, which most times when you come over to my side is the right side, so I appreciate that. It worked. I convinced you. Timmy's ridiculous. They score 50 points a game in the paint. They had 56 against UCLA. Now, here's the deal. The most important matchup in the game, though, is going to be Kispert. And I'll tell you why. Because you talk about those other guys around him, and Timmy is. Look, Timmy's just different. The dude is just different. Gets 56, scores in all different types of ways. Oh, by the way, he's averaging 4 assists a game. Kispert, if you can't take Kispert off the floor and look for Matt Meyer off the bench for Baylor to play a bunch of minutes to make Kispert defend. Because if you can get Kispert in foul trouble, the perimeter players at Gonzaga, the rest of them in the tournament, are shooting about 28% from the three. So if you get Kispert out who's shooting 50%, now all of a sudden the court shrinks a little bit. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. The other thing is you've got to find a way to make Timmy defend. What's the best way to guard Timmy? Make him defend, get him in foul trouble. That's what UCLA did. They played the last 9 minutes with him in foul trouble. The step-up charge he took in that game with 4 fouls, incredible. Big-time play. So you've got to make Timmy defend. You've got to see if you can make Kispert defend. Matt Meyer, by the way, he never saw a shot he didn't like. He will get shots up. You can play him almost at the point as a 4-man. That will be interesting. Kind of like what UCLA did with Jaime Jaquez, which I thought was